Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Thompson. Welcome back to Read Your Library. We're continuing now with our shelf of Middle Eastern and Arab-inspired literature, fiction, nonfiction, and other writings. And I think the last time we discussed this particular series of books that I have, we talked about Wilfred Thesiger, and we talked about this particular breed of English explorer, adventurer, diplomat. And I mentioned that they weren't all men. And today we're going to look at a book about a very good example of someone who really broke the mold in this regard, and that's Gertrude Bell, The Desert Queen is the name of this book. Gertrude Bell, you may have heard her name actually come up in the run-up to Gulf Wars 1 and 2, because among the many, many things that she's remembered for in England and around the world is essentially creating the modern state of Iraq, for good or ill. But what this means is that this incredible woman, who's the product of a Victorian English upbringing, very proper, very highly educated, was completely in love with the idea of traveling to and becoming a part of English activities in the Middle East. And she was one of these great adventurers in the second part of the 19th century and the first half of the 20th century, along with T.E. Lawrence and the others who explored, got to know the Middle East, wrote about it, became really a part of its daily affairs. And in her case, she played a really important role. She was a representative of the British government. She traveled into the wildest places, surrounded by men all the time. And it's not like she even bothered to disguise her gender. She just went. She just did it. And that's one of these indomitable women who, you know, surrounded in a very masculine environment by traditional masculine roles, just said, well, try and stop me. And I think partly people were just so taken aback that they let her get away with it. But she was famously a partner of Lawrence's in the diplomacy of the time, of discovery and of communication with the tribes and with the Arabs in the area during the time of influence, growing influence from the West, and helped Churchill really draw the lines in the sand that created the modern states in that region. Again, as we say, for good or ill, but nevertheless very important time in history. She's a fascinating character, as you can imagine. Any woman who would be in this situation in this day and age of her time would be one. It's a refreshing change to read about a woman in this position after reading about Lawrence, Thesiger, Burton, and the other men who we've kind of gotten used to that idea that the men would go out and just do whatever they wanted, dress up as Arabs, camp, live. Well, she did the same, and she did it all as a woman. So, fascinating story. Definitely a good additional chapter of your information and knowledge and education about this history of this area and this part of the world. I recommend it. Desert Queen, all about Gertrude Bell. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on Read Your Library.